On Tech News today, the Xbox One's feature set is a cord cutter's dream. Facebook wants its own rating system, and Stephen Elop is going to chop Microsoft to pieces. Maybe. All that and more next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, November 8th, 2013. Tech News Today is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. With over 28 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 25% off your new account, go to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code TNT1113. And by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging and informative tutorials streamed to your Roku computer or mobile device. For 50% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/TNT and use offer code TNT50. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Ayaz Akhtar.
And I'm Alex Scruffy Gumpel.
Scruffy Gumpel.
Tom Merritt and Jason Howell both taking the day off today.
Not together, though, strangely enough.
I don't think they're together, but that would be okay if they were.
Right, but Jason's handling other things. He's actually in the dock saving our bacon.
Well, you know,
That's Jason.
That's a real friend. But we've got our Friday cast of characters. I think Ayaz and I can hold it down. We're going to start with the top 10 stories of the day in the news views.
Dope.
When the Xbox One launches later in November, you're going to be able to watch live TV, but do a lot of other things too, like customize the TV guide to show SkyDrive folders appear as channels, stream media that you host on your local PC using Xbox Music or Xbox Video, stream your SkyDrive media from the cloud, plug in any HDMI device in and use through the Xbox One, and for cord cutters, enable app channels so that you can browse Hulu, Netflix, or even SkyDrive content. Sounds pretty okay.
Sounds nifty to me. Want to get an inside look at the PS4? Well, Wired has an article for you. Sony's director of its mechanical engineering team in charge of the PS4, Yasuhiro Utori, took apart a PS4 over the course of an hour and a half. Wired has a bunch of pictures of the first PS4 teardown. For you neat freaks, you'll be glad to know that the PS4's power adapter is inside the console. No need for an external power brick.
Stephen Elop, a candidate to replace Steve Ballmer as Microsoft's chief executive officer, may consider making office software programs like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint available on a broad variety of smartphones and tablets, including Apple's and Google's. This is according to people familiar with his thinking. That's a new one. Microsoft is shifting from software to focus on hardware and services, and of course searching for a new CEO after Ballmer retires. Elop and of course Ford Motor Company CEO Alan Mulally are both top candidates for now.
Reuters reports that Edward Snowden used other people's login credentials to access some of the classified material he leaked to the press. Snowden may have used some social engineering tricks to obtain the usernames and passwords of over 20 NSA workers in the NSA Regional Operations Center in Hawaii. Snowden told them he needed that information to do his job as a computer systems administrator.
Sneaky. The Google barge mystery is really the gift that keeps on giving. When completed, it will be a, quote, unprecedented artistic structure sporting a dozen or so gigantic sails to be moored for a month at a time at sites around the San Francisco Bay. Documents submitted to the Port of San Francisco show that when it's done, the barge could be a 50-foot tall, 250-foot-long structure made of recycled shipping containers and flanked by sails reminiscent of fish fins, their words, not mine, which will remind visitors that they are on a seaworthy vessel.
In case they didn't, didn't notice the water around them.
The barge is back. It's awesome again.
Another Tesla Model S went up in flames on Wednesday. It's the third fire in the past 5 weeks for Tesla. Now, the company says the fire wasn't spontaneous and was the result of an accident after the car hit road debris. So far, all three fires were chalked up to accidents. Tesla's stock price is also taking a beating. On Wednesday, its stock dropped about 14% on news of weak earnings. Thursday, it dropped another 7%.
Eek. NVIDIA co-founder, president, and CEO Jensen Huang loves Android. In fact, he really, really loves Android. After announcing NVIDIA's third quarter financial results yesterday, Wang said, quote, Android is the most disruptive operating system that we've seen in a few decades. In a couple of decades. Also, the vast majority of Windows on ARM will be Surface, but, quote, the vast majority of everything else on Tegra is Android. Pivoting into a post-PC world, NVIDIA, smart move.
Facebook's testing a new feature for business pages on the desktop version of Facebook, star ratings. The star ratings were first reported by TechCrunch thanks to a tipster, and Facebook has since confirmed the test. The company began collecting star ratings with the introduction of Nearby on mobile in early 2012. Facebook says the star ratings will, quote, make it easier for people to discover great businesses around them.
The SD Association has just unveiled an ultra-high-speed Class 3, or U3 card format that handles 4K video. The spec guarantees write performance of at least 30 megabits per second or enough bandwidth to record 4K clips without hiccups. You'll have to wait for U3-capable devices and cards to begin shooting, of course, but shouldn't be long before you can produce footage worthy of one of those Ultra HD TVs, which we'll probably see a lot of at CES. Just a hunch.
Gogo wireless providers of in-flight Wi-Fi introduced a new technology that will allow smartphone users to make calls and send text messages as they normally would while they're in the air. Texts and calls are routed through the aircraft's wireless network in conjunction with Gogo's air-to-ground connection. Now, for the user, your phone will remain in airplane mode because your phone won't be using a cellular connection. The calls are made possible using a Gogo app, which will be available for iOS and Android. A Windows Phone version is coming in the future.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Shutterstock.com. At Shutterstock.com, you're going to find the perfect image or the perfect video, depending on what you're looking for your next creative project. Could be for a website, an advertisement, some sort of a video that you're putting together. You can choose from over 28 million high-quality stock photos. Those could be illustrations, vectors, and video clips. Shutterstock is really good about vetting all of the content. They've got great stuff on there, and that's because they review each image individually for content and quality before it goes into Shutterstock's library. They add 20,000 images every day. Think about that for a sec. 20,000 images every day. So every time you visit, you'll definitely find something new. Flexible pricing as well, depending on what you're looking for. You can choose an individual image pack or a monthly subscription for the best deal. You can download any image in any size and pay only one price. And you can also do a lot of kind of interesting, sophisticated searches. You can search by subject, by color. Maybe you're looking for some sort of emotion. It's something that fits your project. You just need that one little banner image. Award-winning iPad app makes it really fun to search on the go and use it to display images during presentations. And they've got great customer service as well. If you need some help, the Shutterstock team is standing by. You can try Shutterstock today by signing up for a free account. No credit card necessary. Just start an account and start using Shutterstock to help imagine what your next project could be like. Save some images to a Lightbox, review later, and show your team. Once you decide to purchase, use the offer code TNT1113, and new accounts will receive 25% off any package. That's Shutterstock.com, and for 25% off new accounts, use the offer code TNT1113. And thanks to Shutterstock for their support of Tech News Today. Also supporting us, as they do on Fridays, are Darren Kitchen and Len Peralta. Hello, gentlemen.
Sarah, Ayaz, it's so good to see you guys.
What about Len? We got Len? He was
right here.
polite.
Len is not
All
happy
right.
to see us, though.
I am happy to see you.
I decided to
am very
introduce
happy.
you both at once and just make it difficult
free-for-all.
for you guys. Yeah, so just, let's make it a circus. It's Friday, right? Good to see you, Len. It's been a few weeks.
Yes, it's good to be back. Took a couple weeks off. It's just a busy time of the year right now. But I'm ready to do some awesome cartoons.
Well, that's wonderful. Darren Kitchen, of course, of hack5.org and lots of wonderful internet-y things. And bringing back Liquid Friday before
Yes,
noon.
I am.
It's 10:16 in the morning.
That is just
I
excellent.
just got back from the Magic Kingdom. I'm still on vacation.
Love it. Well,
Okay.
you go on with your bad self. Let's
All
start
right.
off with a little bit of some kind of fun stuff coming out about the Xbox One.
Yeah, the Xbox One's coming up really soon, so there's lots of press on it right now. Some folks are getting some hands-on time with the Xbox One, and Microsoft even had a 12-minute tour of the Xbox One and how it actually works. Ars Technica says that voice is the new controller more so than the 360. Ars notes that the voice controls are now system level, so it runs in the background. But they did find a slight pause in voice recognition, so if you said like Xbox, watch TV, it takes about half a second for it to actually start doing something. The Kinect will recognize you, So the Xbox One can log in a user automatically based on their visuals. After a 30-second process to log in to your Microsoft account, Kinect builds a profile of you based on your face and your skeletal model.
Sheesh.
So it can determine who you are when you walk in through the room.
So if you're feeling really like bloated that day, it's cool because your skeleton stays the same.
Exactly.
If all goes well anyway.
In theory, they can recognize you still. And this is all with the actual coming to market Xbox. This isn't like this is the potential of this. This is what's going to be coming out relatively soon. When you're recognized, Xbox shows you your customized layout. If it recognizes someone else, that other person could say, Xbox show my stuff, and everything will change based on if it recognizes you. Data is stored in the cloud, so you have your stuff show up on any Xbox One. PR manager Jose Pinero said that personal biometric data, that is never uploaded in the cloud. So you're not going to have it recognizes you when you walk into your friend's house. Awesome Skype demo on the Kinect. If someone moves around in the room, the Kinect will actually follow that person around, and it actually is doing this in software. There's not a motor or anything. So in this video, you can see there's a guy on Skype. The camera seems like it's following him around. It's all done in software. So if you have somebody who's fidgety, like me, and I'm walking around a room, the camera will follow him. You don't have to worry about placement. They even showed a game DVR demo, recording to the Xbox, editing video right on the Xbox, and watching TV. Xbox One guide, like Sarah, like you mentioned in the news views. If you got cable, you can ask what's on certain channels. If you're a cord cutter, you can add apps as channels like the NFL or Hulu or pretty much anything. Darren, do you want a one any more or any less?
Less, and I'm trying to not harbor like bad energy towards Microsoft, considering we've waited this long. And I don't want to sound really crabby about it, but I feel like the Xbox and the latest console generation held back gaming for so long, and I was really hoping that with this generation we'd see like the next leap forward in gaming, and all I'm seeing is a leap forward in all of this junk that I don't necessarily want. And as compared to the 360, which does all of the same kind of stuff, if really what I'm trying to do is just veg out and watch an episode of The Next Generation, this isn't helping me do that any quicker. So yeah, I want a game console that plays games. I know that sounds crappy, but that's just where I am right now.
Well, I mean, coming from the other side, because I've never actually owned, well, that's not true. I have owned a game console, but not for a really long time. I like the features of this. My question is always, could this replace my Apple TV? Because that's really the device I use. That's the set-top box that I have at home that, for the most part, does everything that I'm interested in and that I'm capable of. It seems like the Xbox One can basically be a I don't know if you'd call it a replacement, but a competitor in all the cord-cutting ways. I do like the idea of this whole dynamic Skype thing, and I don't really see myself using this with family members all that much. I mean, how many times is someone going to be like, look at the new living room in our new home. Here, let me walk you through it. Look, Skype will just follow me. That's very cool. But I do see this in the enterprise being extremely helpful, just to kind of like, if somebody's rolling through some sort of a demo remotely, just to keep the people who are supposed to be paying attention a little bit more alert. It gives sort of a sense of movement, like, ooh, there's a camera person. Oh, okay, this is actually something that's happening, rather than some locked off shot with someone pointing at a chalkboard and everybody's falling asleep. I understand that for gamers, none of this stuff is necessarily all that exciting, but for me, it is.
In the 12-minute video, there's actually like one line about how the Xbox, all these features actually make sense for gamers. They go, if you can actually put your cable box or any other device through the HDMI in of the Xbox, you will always be alerted when your friends are online to play games with you. So if you're not playing a game, you're going to be more likely to see these gaming invites. It's kind of like short shrift for the gaming aspect of it. But when it comes to having everything run through your Xbox, so you could daisy chain an Apple TV or an AVR through that. You could be using Apple TV and then somebody pops up saying, hey, I want to play this game with you. It'll show up. And that might help the gaming aspect. But like we were saying with Steam, the days of exclusive gaming, that's kind of dying out. So it's not just about gaming, because that's any console. It's about what else can this thing actually do.
Well, are you going to get one?
I'm liking this more and more and more. I got to say, it's starting to win me over. I know that the policies that Microsoft, their little backtracking has annoyed a lot of people. But as a media center box, although they killed media center, as a media consumption box, I'm a big fan of this. I'm not a huge fan of paying $60 a year, but that's not too horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if I was like, I'm only going to use this for Netflix, it's the dumbest box in the world. But all the other features make it really intriguing to me, especially since I think they have like a Comcast app, so I could use it as a cable box, even though I don't have a cable box. I could probably also have all those app channels. So that kind of that app channel concept to me is something that's intriguing, because I could have Hulu and NFL and everything else.
Yeah.
Even my folders on SkyDrive. So if I have the entire Simpsons run, which I have up to like season 12, I could have a Simpsons channel that I could just have on. So this is silly, but I kind of like it for that reason.
Well, it's like video RSS a little bit.
Kinda.
I don't know if that's
It's
a
a little
great
nerdy.
analogy, but it's in there. You know, I didn't even mention at the beginning of the show that Len Peralta, if for some reason you're just joining us for the first Friday, is actually drawing artistic representations of all of the stories that we're talking about today. That's why Len's so cool, and I'm very excited to see what he comes up with for this next story. This is all about Bitcoins and why they're so scary. A fellow by the name of Trade Fortress, who's the founder of Inputs.io, which is a company that used to store Bitcoins in digital wallets for people all around the world, says, I don't recommend storing any Bitcoins accessible on computers connected to the internet. You might wonder, well, why would he say this? Well, Inputs.io offered Bitcoin wallets, then mixed the wallets up to anonymize the coins that they stored, and then sped up Bitcoin payments and kept users from little transaction fees that are sort of typical on Bitcoin networks. That all sounds fine and good. The company also stored those Bitcoins online, and then the site was compromised on October 23rd, and then it was compromised again on October 26th. Hackers made off with 4,100 Bitcoins, which totals about $1.2 million of a variety of people's money. The company notified customers of the incident, not right away, but once it kind of figured out what happened. It only affects certain users. Small number of Bitcoins belonging to Trade Fortress's other business coin lenders were also taken. Now, Inputs.io says, well, we're not actually in the position to pay everybody back. We just, that's just not money that we have on hand. But Trade Fortress says, I'm repaying with all of my personal Bitcoins. Suffice it to say, he feels really terrible, but his hands are kind of tied. Apparently, it was also a social engineering hack. So it means attacker or attackers impersonated somebody else, got access to systems on the cloud hosting provider. Linode was their provider. Apparently the attack was done through compromising a chain of email accounts, which allowed the attacker to reset the password for the Linode server. Social engineering, not new. Darren, how is, all I hear about is, well, Bitcoin has hit an all-time high. Bitcoin is insecure. People losing money on Bitcoin. I mean, it's a free-for-all. When is it going to settle down?
Well, I mean, what we're seeing is people are really grasping onto an old school concept of, public-private kind of encryption stuff. And this is not something that people typically use in the mainstream with email, although they should with things like PGP and GPG. And the same sort of security principles apply. It's just that you now have a new audience learning these same lessons. I mean, all of this has happened before. It will all happen again, whether it's a social engineering attack or how have you. What we're seeing is where you take something that's really convenient, like, oh, we minimize those transaction fees and we anonymize your stuff. That's really convenient. But, in order to provide you with that, we have to store it in the cloud. And that's where you lose your security. They're always at odds. That's the seesaw. And this is why, I am a huge proponent of using things called an air gap, a machine that has never touched and never will touch a network that you do all of your crypto stuff on. But it is, you want to talk about convenient, it is absolutely not. And so Bitcoin is just the latest kind of usage of that kind of technology. And we're seeing the same, pains that other people would have with other services for just encrypting email with, say, something like a browser plugin like Mailvelope, where you have the same kind of concept. It's not necessarily in a hosting service in the cloud, as it were, but it's still on an internet-connected computer in your browser. And so I just feel like this is one of those kind of growing pains with a new industry. And with enough of these, and this isn't the first time that Bitcoins have been stolen off of a cloud computing service, people will just kind of wise up to it. And I don't know if this is going to hinder adoption, but hopefully it spurs innovation in that kind of realm.
I think, Darren, you hit the nail on the head. This is growing pains. This Bitcoin is relatively new. It's a new style of having currency, and because it's tied to what it's tied to, it's so volatile. There's all kinds of things that could be changed. In theory, it's supposed to be secure because it takes a ton of resources to create Bitcoins, right, Darren?
Yes.
So that's the idea behind it. But if it can be gamed and it can be changed up that way, and if it can be stolen easily, these are just simply things that have to they have to happen so that more and more security comes on top of it. It's like how Windows became very, very secure because it got attacked so freaking often. So if this is happening, it might mean it's more viable than I originally thought, because if people are going after it, it means that this will get steeled up further and further until it becomes somewhat of a real currency, which, I mean, I know it really is a currency, but if it's a respected currency, that could change things over time. The fact that it survived this long so far, I'm actually quite impressed.
I mean, it's really no different than, a real world bank robbery, where if your cash were up in, a bank and that bank got robbed, the difference here is that we have something called the FDIC, where American money is insured up to $250,000 or whatever it is. You don't really get that with Bitcoin. And it, just like, PGP encrypted emails, it's only as secure as you keep your private key.
All right, let's move on to one of the new possible Microsoft CEO candidates saying some interesting stuff.
He hasn't said anything so much as
Not publicly,
these are reports by people familiar with this thinking. Is that what Bloomberg called it? So Bloomberg reporting that Stephen Elop has got some interesting ideas for Microsoft should he become the company's next CEO, and he's on that short list, or at least reportedly the short list for CEO. First up, Office would be available for iOS and Android. There'd also be a snowstorm potentially. That has nothing to do with anything. Elop would probably move away from Microsoft's strategy of using these programs to drive demand for Windows. That's been a big thing for Windows, is Office and having everything first. He'd also consider ending Microsoft Bing and selling Xbox if he determined they weren't critical to the company's strategy. Now, an analyst by the name of Rick Sherland said that a combination of moves, including the sale of Bing and Xbox, could lift 2015 earnings by 40%. Now, Microsoft has been making lots of money. Stock price somewhat stagnant when it comes to compared to other companies at this point. Not exactly like ripping it up like Google. Bing really baked into Windows right now. Bing baked into Xbox. Darren, does this make any sense to split up Microsoft like this if Elop was in charge?
Well, it makes sense in the idea that if you have a bunch of winners and a bunch of losers, and then you cut off the losers, you only have winners. That's sometimes how businesses operate. I remember the last time something was as notable for me was when Palm became the hardware division and the software division, though we know kind of how that ended up. Yeah, I mean, lately Microsoft's just been talking about chopping off limbs, or at least that's the rumor. So this goes along with that. I mean, you could say, hey, we're super profitable now. We just, cut a third of the workforce, and look at that. So that's one way to do it.
This just, in a way, and yes, this is supposedly stuff that people who are familiar with Elop say that he would do. But this is also stuff, for the most part, that we've all talked about could be just good strategies for Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Allow Office to be available on multiple operating systems, mobile or otherwise, so that everybody just stays used to Office. I mean, that's the reason that I used Office for so many years. It's because it wasn't hard to. I had it on all the devices I needed at home and at work. Granted, mobile devices weren't really a thing yet. I didn't even have a laptop at the time. But even, when I had a laptop for work, but that was just one of those things. It just became ubiquitous with working. And now it isn't. Not for me and not for a lot of other people. So if Microsoft can do that, I think that that's really smart.
I saw this story because Nilay Patel on Twitter wrote, "This guy's the kiss of death," and linked to this story. Elop goes into Nokia, puts Windows Phone as their big bet, then sells off the hardware division, then gets bought by Microsoft. It seems like this guy is either insane or a genius. Now, you see what he did with Nokia, didn't exactly do a great job with that. Now, is Bing something that should be cut loose in the long run? Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's something you sell to Yahoo because Bing powers Yahoo search.
Yeah, we've talked about that. It's not exactly, it's kind of a loss leader, right? For Microsoft.
The idea, though, that they are pretty much the number two, it takes this much power and money to be the number 2 search engine because Google's so dominant. So if they got rid of Bing and it went to somebody who mismanages it, the search engine world becomes very different. It's just all Google all the time, unless Yahoo takes it over. And then the tight integration with Windows, Bing's all over that. So unless they want to partner with somebody else, this is kind of nuts because Microsoft has been building towards something. So if Elop's going to rip out parts left and right, assuming they're not critical to the company's strategy, what is the company's strategy? Is I guess the question. If he wants him to be office-driven because that's what he used to do, it makes a lot of sense that he was the head of that division. I think this is – I said this the other day. I think Mullally's the guy to go to because if Elop's going to do this, he's going to it's going to tank this company.
Well, there's of course Microsoft makes so much money off of Android licensing. There was a story we didn't really talk about it yesterday on TNT, but yeah. So it's like I don't know. Maybe Elop's the guy. He's just gonna shake things up. They got guaranteed revenue because Android's so popular by doing nothing. You've got the Xbox One, which I think will be really popular. Licensed out. It's Office to everybody who wants it. Heck, give it to BlackBerry.
Maybe you're right. Elop's a genius. You're right.
I don't know.
What was I thinking?
I'm just trying to keep things interesting.
You did.
Thank you. All right, let's take a little break and thank IT Pro TV for sponsoring this episode of Tech News Today. If you're a fan of us here at Twit, you know a lot about tech. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's probably you. Chances are you might work in IT. You might have friends that work in IT. Maybe you kind of like to get into IT. It can be difficult to know where to start, though. What are you supposed to study? What's really worth your time? What's kind of an outdated model of technology? What should you spend your time on? If you're already an IT pro, you know that the world of information technology is changing all the time. Vendors release new tech, new certifications, and it can be kind of a mess to keep up. IT Pro TV is your answer. It's a video network dedicated to the world of information technology. You could be looking to jumpstart a career in IT. Maybe you're already working in the field. You want to brush up on some stuff. IT Pro TV supplements traditional learning methods in a fun, engaging way that maximizes your learning and prepares you for certification exams. Over 100 hours of content, 20 hours being added each week, so it's growing really quick. Courses cover topics like network security, laptop repair, subnetting. The episode library is organized by objectives, so depending on what you're looking to do, you can successfully pass these certification tests that you are prepping for. IT Pro TV is a video network, and they've got a lot of professionals working there. Doesn't have to be boring. It's supposed to be an easy, entertaining way to learn. One low monthly price, too. Gives you all access membership with constant updates, comparable to the cost of, a study guide, but a lot cheaper than going to something like IT Boot Camp. There's an easy cancellation policy as well. If this looks and sounds familiar to you, the guys behind IT Pro TV are actually huge fans of us here at Twit. They have over 10 years of experience in e-learning. They were inspired by Leo's NAB talk to start IT Pro TV, which is really, really awesome. They even use a lot of the same equipment that we have right here in this Twit studio. If you're interested, go to itpro.tv/TNT and upgrade your brain with the most popular certifications recognized by employers. Subscriptions start normally at $57 per month or $570 for the year, but we have a special offer. If you sign up between now and the end of the year using the code TNT50, that's TNT50, you'll receive 50% off your subscription for the lifetime of your account. That's pretty much the best value I've ever heard of. $28.50 per month or $285 for the year, 50% off. That's itpro.tv/TNT. And we thank IT Pro TV for their support of Tech News Today. All right, let's move on now to a little story about people who are going to soon be talking on their phones next to you on airplanes.
Sounds great.
Sounds cool, huh? GoGo. GoGo, as some of you may know, is GoGo in-flight Wi-Fi. The company behind that has unveiled a new service that allows phone calls and text messages in flight. They're calling it text and talk technology. They showed it off to CNET, basically flew CNET around in a private jet that took off and landed at Newark International Airport in New Jersey to show off how the technology works. It's utilizing the company's air-to-ground connectivity, meaning that calls and texts that originate back on land are now routed through the aircraft's wireless network rather than in-flight cell towers or picocells. So users who are aboard a commercial flight with GoGo in-flight Wi-Fi access download a companion app. This is available for iOS and Android. The company says Windows Phone is in the works. The company describes as an extension of a regular cellular network. So if you're a smartphone user, you can roam on the in-flight network as if you were connected to a land-based cell network. Now, of course, if you've flown on something with a GoGo-equipped aircraft, That's great. The company says there are more than 6,000 of these. American Airlines, Delta, United, Virgin America are all involved. And you don't get Wi-Fi in every single flight, but it's becoming more and more common. My question is, do we ever want capability of people talking on phones? It's kind of cool, I guess, that you can do it, that it's possible. But Darren, is this inevitable? Are people going to be yapping on the phone next to us? Do we have to get used to this?
On a long enough timeline, it'll happen. I'm a huge proponent of this stuff. I want these companies like GoGo to continue doing this stuff because I have way too much fun every time I fly. I was just recently on actually it was a Southwest flight, so I don't know if it was GoGo, but I love what they do is they, at the top of your every web page you go to, they put a little bar that tells you how fast you're traveling and what your altitude is and how long until you land. But in order to do that, they break HTTPS, and so sniffing up like Instagram cookies the whole flight. It was awesome. So anything that's going to enable more of that,
Instagram cookies.
I'm a big fan of.
Oh, you hope their app actually listens to your conversation so you can have new ads on the screen in front of you?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I was actually just at TorCon in San Diego where some guys demonstrated a hacked Verizon femtocell where it would allow you to sniff, any Verizon users' text messages and calls. I can't imagine this would be really any different. In fact, if it's over Wi-Fi, it just makes it easier for the fun people to have fun. So, yes, I encourage this.
Aside from the security, the absolute irritation that will happen on flights because of this, I don't think this is a nice technology. It's great. I understand the idea. If you have fast enough speeds, you can maybe make VoIP calls. I mean, it drives people crazy on buses. If you're trapped on an airplane with these people or on the phones, I know that certain airlines already have phones. You can swipe a card, and they have these extraordinarily expensive rates.
Yeah, so nobody uses them.
Right. You only need it in a pinch. Would you ever bother to use them? I just could imagine this is going to cause a lot of people to be very angry on an airplane. I don't think people really need a lot of reasons to be angry on an airplane anymore.
There's a really simple answer to this, and that is, in addition to the peanuts and pretzels, you pass out chloroform. Problem solved.
I don't know. People, before a plane even takes off, where you're still loading the plane and somebody's talking loudly on the phone, I know that the phone call, at least, up until this point, is going to end pretty soon because they'll be forced to put the phone away. But that's already really annoying to me. Yeah, it's a small space thing. It's not even so much an airplane thing. It's I'm stuck on a small space thing. I don't even like it when somebody's on the phone at the gym next to me because there are all these signs saying, respect your neighbor, don't talk on the phone at the gym. And so, you kind of like give someone the evil eye and hope that they'll notice and, they don't care. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I can't imagine that it's ever going to be outlawed on planes, but I would like it to be. I just don't like talking.
This is why I carry about 2 or 3 sets of headphones, because if one breaks, I don't want to hear this person, so I put another pair.
Just drown them out. Can't beat them, drown them out. All right, let's move on to a new anti-piracy chip that may come to cable.
Yeah, so Hollywood Reporter's got this exclusive about this company called Beyond Broadband Technology, or BBT. They have been granted a patent that they say would provide a, quote, totally secure communications path. It uses a downloadable conditional access system. Here's how this works. Okay, a distributor or company sends the content or data to a consumer or company by whatever, wired line, internet, over the air. Now, an inexpensive pre-programmed computer chip inside the device receives the download and provides the only authorization needed. The user doesn't need to put in a password. They don't need to do anything fancy. It's just a chip that decodes everything. The system would not use a public or private key, nor a trusted authority. BBT doesn't manufacture chips, but it's going to provide a new system that's available for license. Of course, they want to make money on this. BBT's proposed licensing cost would be $5 per cable box, and cable cards right now cost about $35. So this would be very, very low cost. Darren, this appears to be hardware-based DRM. Do you think something like this could actually work?
What isn't? I mean, somebody figured out how to take a 35-cent chip and then charge cable companies $5 for it and tell them that, so here's how it works. You send the content to us, it goes in the chip. And then it comes out all great and everything's totally fine. There's absolutely no details on this. They say it's not based on a symmetric key, which is kind of the demise of DVD and HD DVD because, there's just one password, you crack that and Bob's your uncle. It's not based on like public-private key technology, or at least that's what the article says, which is what kind of like streaming DRM-based solutions like Netflix operate on. So if that's the case, what is it? And if they don't say, well, then it's probably horse duty, and that's techno jargon there for it's not very good. If they want to do a good solution, whether it's a chip or some software that runs on a more general chip, then all they have to do is open source it and say, hey, look, we've got fantastic crypto tech. Because if your whole concept of secrecy is that, oh, we put it on a piece of silicone and you can't tell what's in there, well then, that's just bunk. So, but to whoever figured out how to take a 35-cent chip and charge the cable companies $5 a pop for it, good on you guys.
Way to go, Darren. Debunking this, which means that this thing that should have been easily hacked and easily worked with so we wouldn't have to put passwords in, now cable companies are going to get wise to it. Nice going. We're supposed to say this is magic and it works great. And we're supposed to have machines that we don't need to have this ridiculous scheme because all I did is I bought this little trusted chip.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Break out your electron microscopes.
BBT. Totally secure communications path. That sounds terrible to me.
It's also inviting.
Yeah.
It's trouble. It's like, it's totally secure.
First of all, no, it isn't. Second of all, just no. That's all I have to say about that.
Third of all? No?
No.
Got it.
All right, let's move on to, Facebook's evolution of likes. Yes, that's right. It's getting more exciting over at Facebook. Not only did Facebook redesign their like button, really for the first time in Facebook's history. You may just have gotten used to it, so you never really thought about whether it was nice looking or not, but it's kind of gotten a little bit of like a Helvetica makeover type
They took
of
off the
thing.
thumb, didn't they?
No, the thumb's still there.
Thought it was gone.
I don't know. I mean, this is not something that's actually rolled out publicly, so it still may change. But Facebook is apparently testing star ratings, like a 1 out of 5 type of star rating, on pages on the desktop version of Facebook, according to a source talking to TechCrunch. Screenshots and live testing show that Facebook has turned on the star rating display for at least a small section of users. Obviously, Facebook does a lot of internal testing, so this is nothing new. But it's kind of interesting to see how it would roll out on pages. Facebook has collected star ratings from users on the desktop for things like local search already, for content and apps that show up on timelines. What's new about this is making information explicitly displayed on Facebook itself in a prominent place, like on a business page, on a place page. And as the TechCrunch article wisely points out, comments provide a sense of sentiment around a page, right? If there's a lot of comments, then you say, oh, there's a lot of engagement. Whatever page I'm looking at, whether it's a brand or a business, is something that people care about. But a 5-star system would show kind of a difference between ease of use, information, compared to something like a lot of likes and comments. So the problem with likes is likes can be very odd. It's sort of, if you've got a post that's not necessarily a positive post and it has 300 likes, well, often people sort of like, they don't really have any option but to say, well, I like this because I feel for you, or I've paid attention. I want to tell you that I'm here. But it can be a little strange. And we talked a little bit about the option that companies can use to add in things like dislike buttons according to like buttons. But in general, you're not really going to want something like that on a brand page. Darren, do you think rating systems have a place on Facebook? It certainly works for Yelp.
I would love to see it. I mean, I feel like Slashdot did it best with their rating systems where you can, tag something as whether it's a flame bait or a troll or informative, interesting, funny, whatever have you. In fact, you could, considering how much power and resources Facebook has, they could even do one with machine learning where you come up with your own, and then if enough people start using them, it just becomes a thing. That would be awesome, because I don't feel like 5 stars tells me anything. If anybody's used Yelp, you know that everything in the universe has 3 stars. So, I don't know. I mean, at the very least, they could just add a dislike button, and then that might get me back. But otherwise, nah.
No, but seeing likes and then how many people are talking about something doesn't give enough information. The star system might be more useful for the businesses in the long run. The idea that I would look to Facebook first for how people, I guess, gauge these businesses, I never even think of that. I would go to Yelp first.
Yep.
I don't know if it would change my behavior if I started seeing these things on the desktop. And a lot of folks in the chat room are saying they're seeing this on the mobile apps. It's already on mobile. This is extending over to the desktop.
Correct.
I think it could be interesting. Then the question is, how is this going to get gamed by other people, right? Now you have to deal with fake 5-star reviews, just like Amazon does, just like Yelp does. Everybody has to deal with that. So if that system isn't any good, then this won't be of any use. It's just how vetted are these reviews.
Yeah, but I think, and that's true. Of course, there's going to be fraud. There's going to be people trying to game the system. But right now, Facebook pages are really limited. I mean, how many times do you hear a business say, please like us on Facebook? And you're like, why? That helps nobody. That's just you sort of like begging for me to give you a thumbs up. It doesn't mean anything. And so nobody that I know says, hey, I wonder if that lawnmower business is awesome. We should check out their Facebook page, because probably the only people who have liked it like the business, and they're just doing that company a favor. It's not actually helpful. If Facebook wants to be a place where you've got a marketplace of businesses that have their fans but also have their critics, that becomes really that actually becomes competition to other successful businesses that rate companies and brands. So it's a little bit of a messy rollout, I think, because I don't think of Facebook as that place. But if they offer me that option, maybe I will. All right, let's move on to the randomizer. Ayaz, what is this randomizer anyway?
Okay, so it's from HTC. The headline reads, HTC channels crazy with $8,000 gramophone smartphone trumpet.
Oh.
Okay, now I was reading this story. HTC UK is actually making something called the Gramophone 2. It's a passive smartphone dock. Now, it's printed on demand. Now, here's the fun part. $1,600 for a plaster-based resin Gramophone 2, or $8,000 for a milled steel version. It's effectively putting giant trumpets on an HTC One. Darren, do you think this is what's going to revive HTC? $8,000 milled steel trumpets of awesomeness.
The way it looks.
I have to have this, or at least I have to have the disposable income that warrants such purchases. I say if you build it, someone will buy it, and if you can make $8,000 on it, dude, go for it. I'm not the target market for this, but I feel like those that are will truly love it because it looks absolutely beautiful.
Maybe this is what's going to bring HTC back. Grandma horns.
It's got to have
$8,000 a pop.
I hope they're making a healthy profit on each one. Yeah, because what if it costs $7,099 to make? They're only making
it doesn't look like it costs more than like $500.
You can basically do the same thing with, like, I don't know, a paper cup. You know, you don't need to spend $8,000 for this. It's a passive system.
Or maybe you could make your own, like in a clay oven type of a thing, if you're good at molding things into horn-like structures.
Apparently, this is part of the HTC's Here's to Creativity campaign. So this might be the first in a series of creative things from HTC.
Smartphone trumpet. What's not to like? It's a grandma horn. $8,000. Put it on Bitcoin. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
I'll take 2.
Thank you. Ayaz is very skeptical about all of this, but I'm with you, Darren. I have to have it.
I'll help make sure I pick it up in my Tesla S.
Have to have it. You guys can all pool together, and that's just going to blow up, and then I'm not going to have a grandma horn at all.
I'll get the mill steel one. It'll handle it.
Keep the Model S out of it. All right, let's move on to the calendar. Ayaz, you want to do it, or you want me to?
I'll handle it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, November 13th, there's a Motorola event, but it looks like the Motorola Moto G press render has been leaked ahead of the November 13th launch. It looks like a Moto X, but smaller. Okay, on November 22nd, Nokia's 6-inch Lumia 1520 hits the AT&T network for about $200. Pre-orders are now open. Chrome on Windows will start rejecting extensions from outside the Chrome Web Store starting in January. And also coming in January, Panasonic's ToughPad 4K tablet, 20-inch tablet, 4K, weighs 5.27 pounds, and carries a price tag of only $5,999. And also Mercury's retrograde ends on November 11th. Thanks to Darren for putting that in the calendar. That's the calendar.
Does that mean it gets less weird, Darren?
For you guys, yes, but my Saturn's still returning. Yeah.
I will pretend I understand that, and we will move on to see what's incoming.
Incoming message.
Got an email from Marlon, the guy from Trinidad, for Ayaz to call Power Man Luke Cage B-listeners is a travesty.
B-listers, yeah.
B-listers. Oh, not listeners. B-listers. He says, as you may know, Joss Whedon has taken the inspiration for the Marvel movies from the Ultimate Marvel storyline. And while the Avengers are seen as the primary heroes. The characters to be featured in the upcoming series also play a key part in the background, and in one storyline, the Defenders take over the role of premier crime fighters when the Avengers break up. What is also key is that all the characters operate in Hell's Kitchen, New York, so there should be crossovers between the shows, and this can be seen as the ground game for our fearless leader, Joss Whedon's Phase 3 of his grand plan for the Marvel Universe. We, the comic book nerds of the internet, are very excited.
Marlon, I still disagree with you. I don't care if the Ultimates are making this awesome. I don't care that Joss Whedon thinks they're great. The general public needs to buy into Luke Cage, Power Man, and Luke Cage is Power Man, and then Iron Fist. Iron Fist. Do you remember? Maybe they changed his costume. If I remember, he wears this ridiculous yellow collar with a deep V cut with a crazy dragon tattoo on his chest. Not exactly the most marketable character.
Well, you and Marlon can duke it out.
Oh, I will.
I will stay out of this. I think everybody's right, and superheroes are great, and crossover is
You're a
fun.
diplomat, Lane.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't have an opinion. I hope it's good for your sake. Absolutely. All right, well, we've come to the end of our show. You know, we had some technical problems with Len Peralta, which is super unfortunate because I was looking forward to his illustrations of our show today, but we'll do better next time. Next Friday, we'll get our ducks in a row. But in the meantime, if you love Len's work, and so many of you who watch our shows on Fridays know that he is incredibly talented, you can go to peraltartsy.myshopify.com, peraltartsy.myshopify.com, and keep up with all the great stuff that he does on our show, and follow him on Twitter as well. Ooh, Len, actually, are you back with us? Just at least to say goodbye?
I am. I am
Hi.
here. And I think I did send some screenshots over. They are not the best stuff, but I did get all the 6 stories done in a very short amount of time. So I don't know if Alex wants to jam through those really quickly or not.
Alex, do we have those? All right. Well, yeah, let's do that. Why not?
See what he does. Okay, so this is these are really quick here. Let me see what's he showing you. The first, where do you want to start, Alex? You got the flying and on.
I'll go in the chronological order you sent them.
Okay, yeah, this is flying and texting. I was going to draw Superman. Superman would be a great endorsement for flying and texting. Here he says flying and texting is awesome. He's also available for endorsements. The Duck Dynasty here. This is in progress. But the cable thing here is you want Duck Dynasty, you pay for Duck Dynasty. So that was my little take on that as far as cable boxes. I'm telling you, this is quick, man. I did them really super quick this time around. For the story about the star ratings on Facebook, I actually kind of like that idea. I think it's going to be kind of fun. And here's an opportunity to give out stars to everybody. You get a star, you get a star, you get 2 stars. Of course, the little cat gets all kinds of stars. And then Xbox, why isn't November 22nd here yet? That's the story, the image for that, which is actually the one I was working on when we went down technically. And then finally, I think the last... No. We have... oh, yeah, there we go. The current possible CEO doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And basically, he's just saying... That's what he's saying when he says he wants to take down Xbox and Bing. And then the Robble image of the Bitcoins, trying to come up with something for Bitcoins. That was done super quickly, guys, if you can see. It's a little bit different than the other stuff I've done.
Well, it just shows what a good artist you are, because the super quick stuff that you keep apologizing about looks really, really good to me.
Len.
So, Len, thank you so much for being a great sport and keeping on top of everything, even behind the scenes while we were trying to connect to you throughout the show. And thanks to Alex Gumpel as well, who was really busy with a lot of stuff that hopefully was not apparent to any of you. And of course, thanks to Darren Kitchen, who's with us pretty much every Friday. Darren, what is going on with Hack 5 and beyond?
Well, did you know that your micro USB port on your Android phone is used more than just to connect to the USB stack? It actually has a whole bunch of really cool back doors that you can get into by just changing some resistor values on the 5th pin. And we're talking to some awesome security researchers from Torcon about how they can use it to exploit some phones, enable ADB, and basically get all your private data over at hack5.org. And thanks for having me.
That's
and Len, I had to say I absolutely love your idea with Go-Go and the Superman, and I feel like there's one other spokesperson who might be perfect for that, and that's E.T. I would just want to see E.T. on an A320 saying, E.T. phone's home, you know?
That is awesome. I like that. I will actually have to draw that up this weekend.
All right, we also want to remind you that it's the time of year where Twit has an annual audience survey. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you like, what you don't like. Please visit twit.tv/survey. It's a pretty easy URL to remember. And let us know what you think. Only takes a couple of minutes. It's completely anonymous, so you can be very, very honest about what you like and don't like and want to see more of in the years to come. Your feedback will make Twit even better. So we want to thank you in advance for participating, and thank you very much for your continued support. Also, thanks to everybody who submitted to our subreddit. technewstoday.reddit.com is where you can go to submit stories you want us to cover on the show, and also vote other people's stories up or down. Maybe there's one in there you go, oh no, this is really awesome. I hadn't thought about this, but I sure want the team to cover it. Please do so. We got a lot of Redditors in there supporting us, so thanks so much. And of course, best of submissions, we are taking them. twit.tv/best of is the form that you can use to tell us, hey, you know, that one moment on that TNT show was just great. Maybe it was today. Maybe it was last week. Maybe it hasn't happened yet, but we're going to corral all of those and put it in our best of show at the end of the year, which is right around the corner. In the meantime, you can email us, tnt@twit.tv. You can call us at 260-TNT show. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/technewstoday. And of course, subscribe to the podcast and get the show notes at twit.tv/TNT. We've got Andrea Smith joining us on our Monday show. Tom Merritt and Jason Howell will be back. Till then, have a wonderful weekend. Woo!
We made it!
That show was bananas, yo.
That was a
made it.
bananas show.
Wow.
That BANANAS.